This could cause some really serious issues in a marriage. But yeah, it's a very, very expensive hobby. Oh, those stupid cigars. I think it's Maduro. What I hear is Maduro. But I just can't see why you would ever spend that much money on one cigar. What can you do to help?
Sorry.
Really?
I can't.
You're gonna sit there and fart while I'm trying to make a video.
My stomach.
Hey guys! So I'm in the Bear's Den today. My name is Christy and I am Gus One Bear's wife. I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on what it's like for me as a spouse that doesn't smoke cigars, what it's like to be with a spouse that does. It's a little different. It's not that I don't like the cigar smoking thing or whatever, and I have a lot of issues with headaches and stuff like that. So cigar smoke is one thing that can set off a migraine for me in literally minutes. So for those of you that don't know a lot about Gus, what he does for a living, he's dealt with a lot of really dangerous animals for a long time. And his job itself is a very dangerous one.
This is intense stuff. I'm out of breath.
You know, he deals with, if it's a dangerous animal, you know, he's dealt with it. You know, years ago, he was working with a bear. He was mauled by a black bear. And that's actually where he got his name, the name that the Seminoles gave him, Gus One Bear. But there's a lot of other, you know, just crazy animals that he has to deal with. And he's always out in the Everglades and dealing with a lot of different things out there. So, again, it's a very stressful job. And then you add the fact that he has to do a lot of commuting to and from his job. So any of you all that have to do a lot of commuting, things like that, you know that it can get really stressful. And I know one thing that he has voiced to me is that, you know, hey, I really enjoy sitting down and smoking a cigar, or sometimes, you know, if he gets stuck in the usual crazy Fort Lauderdale to Miami traffic like he does on a daily basis, sometimes he might just light one up when, you know, when he's sitting in bumper to bumper traffic, just to help kind of calm him down from the day and just from the craziness of dealing with all the crazy people on the road. So me as a non-smoker, you know, I can't really fully relate to that because, again, I don't smoke anything. So, you know, I don't fully understand it. I hope that this can help some of you if you're having these same problems. And I know there's got to be some of you out there that have gone through the same stuff. And you don't necessarily see it coming. You know, it just kind of smacks you in the face. Because I didn't really think about it much either. And I'm sure Gus didn't think about it causing any problems. But all of a sudden, these little things start creeping in. And then it's like, you know, I'm like, oh, those stupid cigars. You know, here we go again. You're smoking another cigar and it's taking forever. It's funny because I'll hear him and he's working on some video or something like that, and he's going through the names of the different cigars. And, you know, he speaks Spanish, so he's got that, he can have that accent. I can't roll my tongue. I can't speak Spanish worth a flip. But when he's going through there, it's funny because he'll say one thing, but I hear another. So like there is a cigar, and I think it's supposed to be El Pulpo, but what I hear is El Pupo. And there's another one, I think it's El Maduro. See, I can't roll my R's. But anyway, it's something like that. But what I hear is Maduro. That's what I hear. I don't know why everything seems to be centered around poop, but it does, because originally I would call his cigars turd sticks. Well, because that's what they look like. We have a lot of animals at home. We have 2 dogs. And some of the piles that them dogs leave looks like the cigars that he's smoking. So they look like turd sticks. So for the longest, I called them turd sticks. So, and he would get aggravated with me. You know, it's like, don't call him that. So he's always like, for a special occasion or maybe periodically out on the boat, he'd smoke a cigar. But, I mean, that would only happen maybe once or twice a year. You know, not often at all. He's gotten really more into it and he's smoking more often. And so that was a change for me that I had to, you know, get used to. And so, yeah, you know, it did start to cause some issues here and there. But we really try to sit down and talk and try to understand each other. And again, you know, that's not to say that every little issue is completely worked out. We still, you know, butt heads a little bit here or there between, you know, a couple when it comes to one that smokes cigars, one that doesn't, is over money, you know, the financial aspect of it. I know Gus had done a previous video talking about budget cigars and things. From what I can see, there's no budget cigars. It's an expensive hobby. It really is. You know, what hobbies aren't anymore? I can't say too much about it because even though he tends to, every week it's like, oh, there's a sale. Oh, but there's a deal. There's a sale. You know, there's these cigars and they're only making this many. And, oh, I really need to get them. Like I try to tell him, you know, there's always going to be a sale. There's always going to be another cigar, whatever. But, again, that's where I have to compromise. It's like, okay, you know, yes, maybe we don't need to spend the money on this, but you spend a little bit here, and then, you know, he needs to compromise. Okay, well, maybe this sale that's going on right now, I just bought some like last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever. Maybe I don't really just have to have these. So, you know, we try to compromise in that way. But again, you know, I have a hobby too. I've been into belly dancing for 22 years now, and it's not a cheap hobby. Again, you know, there's no cheap hobbies anymore. So I understand. It's just mine. I'm not buying things as often as he is. You know, he's always seeing, oh, there's new cigars. And so I see that too, but I'm the type where, okay, you know, I don't have to have that, because if you know anything about anybody that belly dances, just like you can never have enough cigars. Well, you can never have enough belly dance hip scarves and, you know, costumes and things like that. There's just so many. So I have to understand it's the same way with cigars. And there's always going to be some new ones and a deal that he's going to see, and he's going to be like a kid in a candy store. And that's, again, where we have to come back to the compromise. So, but yeah, it's a very, very expensive hobby. I'm still can't wrap my head around some of these cigars that some people buy. Gus does pretty good. You know, he doesn't go crazy like spending, let's say, $50 on one cigar. And I know there's people out there that they do spend that kind of money and stuff. So I have to give him credit for that. But I just can't see why you would ever spend that much money on one cigar that in an hour or 2 hours at the most, it's going to be poof, gone. So at least with my hip scarves and my belly dance costumes, I can wear those multiple times and they hold their value and I can resell them. You know, we're on a budget like anybody else is. And so we have to talk, and, you know, I have to understand that every now and then, you know, it's going to be time for him. He's going to want to get some new cigars or whatever. And then he has to understand, okay, you know, I'm kind of the keeper of the budget. So I kind of know what's here, what's there. And so when I'm like, hey, I don't think we can right now, then he's got to realize that he can't just every single time he sees a sale, because there's always going to be sales. So we've been working on that, and we're getting better with that. So it's not to say that we've just got this all figured out, because a marriage is a work in progress all the time. And as long as you look to God to help guide you, then you'll be able to make it through, those tough times. So because of the issue that I have with the smoke, like giving me headaches and things, that's one of the main things that we've had to try to work on, try to figure out. Sometimes I can go out there and maybe sit upwind from where he's at and still be able to sit out there and visit with him. So again, when it comes to, trying to figure out ways to get around this, that's what you have to do in a marriage, period. You have to learn how to compromise. And we've had our share of issues, over the years, and we still have to really try to sit down and say, okay, well, how can we compromise on this? Because I need to be more mindful of the fact that these sitting and smoking his cigar, it really helps his stress level. And other than the fact that he just really enjoys it, but it helps to calm him down and stuff. So I've had to try to be more mindful about that. All this being said, I could see how for some couples, this could cause some really serious issues in a marriage. It definitely has caused some friction in ours. The one good thing about this is, we are Christians, and we look to God and we look to the Bible to guide us. And so when we're having issues, especially, between us, then we try to look to that and, and pray about it and try to, we ask, I don't know, I'm sure Gus does the same thing, but I can only speak for myself. I usually ask the Lord to help show me what I can do, because I know sometimes people are like, well, just pray for the other person to change. And that's not the right way to look at it. You can say, well, Lord, if it's meant for this to happen, but at the same time, what I like to do is be like, okay, Lord, give me more patience. Help me to be more understanding. You have to really compromise with a lot of things and also respect each other. And if you do those things, you can find ways to make, things like this work. And that's what I've tried to do. Again, because like I said, I've never been a smoker. I've never really cared too much to be around people that smoke or anything. And so, it's different for me. Now, my mother is a smoker. She has been since I was little. And that's always been kind of an issue, I have with her. Mostly just because I want her to stop because of her, her health. But at the same time anymore, I've gotten to where I can't hardly be around her cigarette smoke either. And so, that's just, so I'm just not used to that. You want to make sure that you are communicating with each other. Number one, just communicate, because there's a lot of couples out there that they don't communicate at all. And Gus and I have gone through little issues here and there too, where we didn't communicate what we were thinking, what we were feeling. And then that just causes more issues to build and build. So make sure you're communicating with each other. And then when you do, also make sure you're respectfully communicating. And you're respecting each other. You're respecting each other's thoughts, your way of thinking. Because I'll tell you, me and Gus, the Lord brought us together, and we fit together perfectly. But at the same time, we don't think alike. We think totally opposite, actually. And so that's something that we have to work on. So again, that's where that respect comes in. So when I'm telling Gus, well, I'm seeing something this way, and he needs to be respectful and listen to me and be like, okay, okay. And then when he's saying, yeah, but I see it this way, then I need to be respectful and listen. Okay, all right. So you're seeing it this way. I'm seeing it this way. Let's try to figure this out. So that's the best way. And you may come to certain issues or whatever that you just have to agree to disagree. You know, that you're not gonna, just because you're married doesn't mean you're gonna totally agree on everything. So it's okay to agree to disagree. Just do it respectfully and then just keep going forward. So, you know, Gus, even though he was born here in the States, he is Cuban. And so therefore, you know, his family history, his father, his great-grandfather, you know, his grandfather, all of them, you know, some of those, they were actually Cuban cigar rollers. You know, they did all of that back in their native country of Cuba. So it's really interesting, you know, and he's never been one to be really into trying to find out a lot about his Cuban heritage until he got more into the cigar smoking and wanting to learn more about it. And then that in turn has brought him and his father even closer. Papa G, you know, he remembers when he was a little boy back in Cuba, and you know, he was given cigars, little cigars to smoke when he was just a kid. I mean, that's just what they did, you know. So he's been doing it all his life. So it's really something that they could bond over, and they love to just sit and chill and, you know, just hang out together, smoke their cigars. And so I think it's really great that they do that. And I don't mind that. The only thing is, you know, his dad lives about an hour, a little over an hour away from us. So that kind of sometimes causes an issue because you run into the time, and it's like, so sometimes, you know, Gus wants to come up to his dad's house, and they have their time and smoke their cigars, and that's fine. But then sometimes that can cause issues between me and Gus, because between, you know, the long hours that he works, the long commutes that he has on top of the hours that he works. So the long hours, you know, of his job, and then the commute on top of that, you know, I don't get to see him very much as it is. And then when, you know, he either wants to come to his dad's and they hang out and they do their thing, but then sometimes, you know, at home, he'll go out on the patio and sit down, and of course, you know, it takes him at least an hour, sometimes two, to smoke his cigar. And so again, I can't be right there with him to sit and chat with him when he's smoking unless I'm like on the other side of the patio, because I can't be close and inhaling, you know, and smelling the cigar smoke, because it'll set off a headache. So that's kind of been a little bit of a bone of contention between us, because I really, you know, like I said, I would love to sit out there and chat with him while he's enjoying his cigar and relax, but I have to make sure that I'm, you know, upwind. What can you do to help?
Sorry.
Really?
I can't.
You're going to sit there and fart while I'm trying to make a video.
My stomach. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me turn this off. I'm sorry.
It's not funny, dude. Come on. So, drop a comment below and let us know. We would love to hear about it. You may have some ways that you've dealt with some issues that we haven't thought about. So definitely Gus is really good about responding to all the comments. So make sure and leave some for us. Let us know. Thank you so much for, you know, watching the videos, and we would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with me here in the Bear's Den. Until next time, see you later. Honey.